So this afternoon I've rigged up this little cross beam arrangement off the fence and then tech screwed it in. They're not the best ones. The other ones are firm down there. It's a little bit tight. Yeah, so that's me. So I've made this little platform so I can stand and do the repairs. Yeah, so to get along this bit now, I'm overhanging the neighbour's land, but it's only temporary. So it gives me enough support to get to this side. But as you can see, it's barrow clock. Well, an afternoon spent clearing all the junk off of there. Still looks like crap, but it doesn't really matter. It's going to get more crap falling on it from up here. I've managed to detach the panel that was bolted there with the TK bracket. TV aerial, all the cables are pulled back. The light that was on the antenna mast, the cable's been removed. And obviously we've been having a bit of a clear up. Still got to do something here with this lot. I don't need to move it all because I'm thinking, where are we? I think it's the 4th of March today. The weather is looking pretty bad for next week. High winds, rain, showers, snow even, depending on where the low pressure from the Atlantic comes in and pushes it. I don't know. So, as you see, I've got my little platform out there now. So the possibility is, as you can see, I've got the acro in here. I can jack this beam up. I've got to cut through the brackets to lift it. I think we're pretty much all done there, so it's just the bolts to remove, and I can remove this timber, replace it with a new one, fix it all in place, and that would allow me at least, if it focuses, I can drop that beam back down. And I've got 2 of these left over from the removal here, so obviously they're not quite long enough to do the full span. So I have got down there somewhere some more 6x2s. So my idea is to replace the timber here. I will put a temporary brace across just to hold the weight of the roof beams. I can slide these joists in, put the new pieces in. Obviously I'll alternate, one fixing that end and one this end, and bolt them up, and if I've got enough room I can even bracket them in. So that will allow me to put the joists in under the roof, because I don't want to sort of attack it tomorrow with a disc cutter and start cutting all the nail heads off, lift all the sheeting off, and then we get snow, rain and God knows what, so the sheet will all be pushing in with the weight. Although it's not perfect, it's better than having nothing there. So I think that is my plan at the minute, to try and get the joists in if weather holds tomorrow. Replace that bit of wood, put the new joists in, and at least I'm ahead of the game, even if the weather's pants. I've still got to strip a bit more wiring off this end, and then again it's the same thing to change that lower piece of timber, and that means removing the joist, which is all part of these bits, which I'll give them a smack with a hammer, and they are loose, or loose enough to detach. But obviously I won't attack that bit till I've got the roofing sheets off. Then I can replace that end, mark across, work out me gable end and build off of that possibly, and then go back. Or I might just work my way across, then I can keep my roof profile line without too much grief. We just have to wait and see what the weather holds. Well, as you can see, my first mate is working hard. It's 5 degrees today with a -3 feeling apparently. We just took all the bolts out, and as you can see the little metal brackets are all flipped to their sides, so everything that secures that piece of wood to the wall is now gone. I've just released the brackets both sides of the joist, so now the next job is to jack the beam up and see what happens. The only problem is I've got this piece of metal trunking that protrudes above. Could cause a problem. I might have to cut the post. We'll have to see what happens. Right, well, I raised the acro up on 3 blocks of wood to give me enough clearance on the keyway, so we're now elevated, so we'll see how much profanity I can create. So the offending item is out. Didn't make it in one piece. Quite a snug fit. Luckily I had a little piece there that joined on that end. There was a bracket on the top of it and then one in the corner which I had to chisel out. And then I got that bit out, and that allowed me to bring the timber forward, but as I expected, that piece has no give in it, which is where the snap was, so the wood give it. The wood didn't look too bad, but on closer inspection it is riddled with woodworm. This end was saturated still. I lap jointed them last time because obviously there was no roof on. Now they're going to get butt jointed, and then I'll just put a galvy bracket in the corners. There's my son now leaving with his fart box. So yeah, we've now got to measure it and see if we can get a new bit in, which, well, there's a slightly smaller profile, so it might give me a little bit more wiggle room to get it over widthways and then bring it down to get it behind that. If not, I'm going to have to drill out the rivets. We'll focus if I get my hand out of the way. If not, I'm going to have to pull that cable forward and then cut it off level with the top of the wall. Well, time to put the bolts back in. I've reused the ones that I originally cut for there because I put coach ones on there with no heads to give me clearance for the fascia board. This bit's a bit higher, so I don't think it'll be too much of an issue here. So drill these out, bolt through, and I can take the last of the weight off this. No, sorry, it is off now. And that's basically floating there, tied in with me. And it's not going to go anywhere. So if the weather does get lousy and I still want to carry on, I can still get another joist in here and another one down in here. Right, yeah, shouldn't be too much of a hassle. Okay, so that's mission accomplished for today, I think. New piece of wood in, screwed, clamped and bolted. Job done. On to the next bit, probably tomorrow now, weather permitting. Well, the old beam is now firewood. What's here, Rookie? Right, next day we've had a little bit of a, well, sort of tidy up, just to give me some room for manoeuvre. As you can see, the old beam now propped up precariously over a door, hanging out the eave there. I just lifted the sheet up so I can push them all the way out, and then I've put a lorry strap across here to support it. So one beam, one original old beam will go this way, and then the other old beam will go that way, so we get a new piece that side and one that end, so it staggers them. And I've marked them off so that the old curvature, where they've sort of sat there 28 years, something like that, so they'll go the other way, so the bow is now upright, so it gives them a chance to over time settle the other way, level them out, and then I suppose in another 20 years time they'll have a 1/2 inch sag on them again. but we might put something across the middle there. But this is today's operation, and well, this is afternoon's operation. Luckily the plan went according to plan. It's raining, or has been, on and off all day long. Not a particularly nice day, quite cold, but we appear to be dry. I haven't seen any, well, there shouldn't be any damp patches on that roofing felt, but no telltale signs of dribbling water. I only had it down that beam where it was dripping off the tarpaulin, so far so good. Whether a heavy downpour would be the same, but we'll wait and see. Doubtless we'll get one this week. Well, I suppose we'll have snow, but I don't think we'll get it this far down. Right, so now we have that beam. We'll sit that end and go across to there, and then that one vice versa. That sits that end and comes back here. This is hanging on the lorry strap at the minute, so it's got it in the air. I've got dug out my old Sparky's step ladder as I need more height. The idea is I'm going to clamp a piece of wood to the underside of the joists, which they can then rest on, and then hopefully I can find somewhere here to do the same again, and then I'll put the other beam in. Again, I'll have to feed it through there and then run it along here, and I'm not going to screw or bolt them yet. I haven't got any bolts to do it with, but I'll attach them and sort of eye them up, clamp them in place, and then when we do need to fix them properly, I've got to mark off exactly where they're going to sit there and there, so that just gets them up out of the way basically, so they'll be clamped and supported. And then when I just need to sort of trim them in, and then if there's any sag here, I can raise it up on an acro, clamp it, and then I'll use M12 or M16 bolts all the way through. But I think the pair of 6x2s I've got a 4.8 meters long, so there's going to be a fair overlap. I'm not going to cut them because I've got no use for the other wood anywhere else, and so there's going to be quite a bit of area where they join together. But I guess that will make them stronger, and then eventually when I get that bit replaced, I'll put a beam across. So here's the non-approved work platform to raise the working height, so you can put a clamp on the beam. So we've got them in now. As you can see, I've got old versus new opposing one another. Well, you probably can't see because it's getting washed out with the light. So we've got that one there, various clamps holding everything in place, which just allows me, when I want to make some adjustments, I just got to knock them off and give pieces of wood a tap to make the adjustments. So I think that's about all I can achieve today. This is sort of going to be the dead point now, where these are in, and I can't really do much else until I get good weather again, so I can have the tarpaulin off and start stripping the sheeting off, getting the old wood gone, and then I've got access to put the brackets in to attach these joists to the wall plate and put some noggins in just to brace them up, and then I can make the new trusses up. Well, that's not the big blue skies of Norfolk Fenland land, is it? Time to batten the hatches and call an end probably to this episode.